Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Nerd for No Reason podcast. I am one of your fantastic hosts, Mark.
And I'm going to be sitting shotgun as we fly along into this lovely venture of a new episode of Nerd for No Reason. Hi, I'm Raven. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, doing great. Living
Nice,
life.
nice. Did you beat your kid in the what'd you say game you were playing?
We were playing Smash Bros.
Smash Bros.
I completely forgot that I texted you that I was going to beat my kid in Smash Bros. And you were like, oh, did you beat your kid? And I'm like, huh? You just going to put all my business out here on the podcast?
Did you just whoop Amy's ass in video games?
Actually, she won because I was playing as a Sheik, and I had never played a Sheik before, and I usually play as Kirby.
Fair.
And she played as Kirby, and just she beat me. It was pretty close, but she beat me. So,
Dang, getting beat by the little one?
yeah, it's okay.
That's good for her. I'm proud of her.
I'm not upset by it.
At some point, you as the parent have to realize your kid will probably outbeat you in so many things. Like one day you'll be old, she could definitely beat the shit out of you if she wanted to. You ever think about that?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Nice.
Well.
So your normal go-to is Kirby. I think mine is, I haven't played in so long, but I love doing the ice climbers. They're just so cute.
Well, I'm kind of at that stage because I wiped everything on my Switch, so I had to go back and start playing some more, and or start playing and unlocking characters. And I didn't. It's not like I had this big catalog of characters anyway, because there's so many. But man, it's boy, is that a large, tall order to fill when you're just like, man, I just want to unlock characters and find out which one is right. And I'm not paying money. I don't even know if that's an option to pay money to unlock more fighters or amiibos or whatever. I'm just playing through and just trying to unlock the fighters as I go. And man, boy, that's a big order.
Yeah. I don't think you can pay to open them, but I could be wrong. I think Chris opened most of the ones on my Smash Bros. Because at some point I was like, I'm not good at this, so here you go. And he was like, sounds great. Now I get to play video game.
Well, you see, the thing is that Kirby is solely my main just because he's the one that you get in the story mode. So I figured Kirby out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I've become proficient enough with him. Now, am I good enough to be like, oh yeah, man, I could beat him? No, absolutely not.
Watching those people that do the tournaments and stuff on that game, I'm like, absolutely not.
Right. They're Star Fox, and they just are insane. I still ain't figured out how to jump 47 times like they do.
Yeah.
Don't know how they do it. So more power to them.
Dude, I never, they'll literally be falling off the stage, and I would be like, okay, this is it. I'm just dead. And they figure it out, and I'm like, what? How did you jump? You were literally almost off the screen. How'd you get back onto the thingy? It's wild to me. Could never be me. As I was telling you, I've been awake for maybe 3 hours today. It's great. I have slept almost all day.
You know, I took a really good nap today, and I know I'm going to be up all night, and I don't really want to. I have reached the point in my life where I feel like I've won at adulting, as far as work and going to work and doing work things, and I don't really want to keep playing this game. I've hit the point where I'm like, I see the fun in retirement now. I don't want to do this anymore.
Man,
I want to save my money. I want to quit work and I want to just go do the fun things that I want to do.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. I, oh my gosh. So this past week, I was doing my work thing. I get home, and at some point, my mom calls and she's like, "Hey, what you up to?" And I was like, "I just sat down for dinner." Because that's when you always call me, is when I'm literally chomping down on some food. She tells me that at work, my grandfather fell off the ladder because he's a foreman right now as an electrician, and he saw one of his guys doing something. And he was like, "Hey, you better stop. You're going to get hurt." And then this man falls off the ladder and, like, hurts his knee. This man is 68. I'm like, retire, retire, retire. So you saying that, I'm like, this man's never going to have a good retirement because you just going to shatter your body. So you know what, Mark? When you're ready to retire, you retire, man. I'm tired of these old men that are like, no, I'm just going to keep going until they physically cannot.
It is, I want, here's how I want my retirement to go. And this is what I am planning for now, is I want to, when I finally retire, when I'm able to retire and they say, cool, you're going to get money for the rest of your life, I want to spend 5 years. That's all I'm asking for, is 5 good years to go, just to go hard in the paint. I want to travel. I want to do stuff. I want to just, I want to basically live the life that I want to live for like 5 years straight. And then I'll be like, cool, time to come back, sit on the couch and drink sweet tea and play with grandkids. Cool. But I want to have a good 5 years where it's like, what are we going to do? I don't know. Let's go to Disney World. Woo. And then we go to Disney World. And then it's like, well, I've never been to Montana before. Let's go to Montana. Things like that. That's what I want to do for like 5 years. I want to travel the world. This past weekend, I was at a birthday party, and one of the people there just went to Japan on a work trip. And I was like, oh, cool, I love Japan. And she was like, I love Japan too. And we sat there and just started talking, like, oh, what'd you do while you were there? This and that and that. And coming off of the Hawaii trip where I just spent, 10 days just doing what I wanted, I'm like, I have to do, I got to do this. I have to just pretty much save. I got to just squirrel away money. And, when I retire, just have enough money in the bank to say, cool, I'm traveling the world.
Yeah. Such a dream. Oh my gosh.
Not on a cruise ship. I don't want to do that dumb thing where I hop on a cruise ship and spend 6 months at sea and just go from port to port to port. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, as much as I love cruises, don't want to spend 6 months on a boat.
Fair enough. I can't blame you on that.
Because there's certain days, especially when you're crossing the Pacific, where you are stuck on that boat for like 3 days at a time. And that's too much time.
Ugh, yeah. It's like, well, I've never been on a cruise, so I'm like, what's there to do? But sometimes I like see photos of like, or like videos of people and like all the things you can do, and I'm like, what is this? There's literally like it could be like a roller coaster on there.
Yeah, there's two different kinds of cruises. All right, there's the budget cruise or the booze cruise, where it's very affordable, but if you go at a particular time of year, i.e. spring break, then you are going to be there with a bunch of 21-year-olds who are on college spring break, who are there for the sole purpose of getting hammered. And there's nothing wrong with that. I did that when I was 22. First cruise that me and our family went on. I was 22. I drank every amount of alcohol that was on that boat. I think I spent more money on alcohol than I did on the cruise itself.
God bless.
And that was a fun trip. Now that I'm grown, I don't want to do that. I'd much rather spend the money. We've been on Disney cruises, and they are fantastic because they have enough stuff on the boat to keep you entertained. And now, like, I think it's Royal Caribbean also have like super huge boats where
Hmm.
you have all kinds of stuff to do to keep you busy. You know, they're expensive, but you're paying for that luxury of doing the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So, so yeah, I love Disney cruises. Um, I want to do one where I don't go to the Bahamas. I think I've wore that route out enough where I'm just like, I'm good. I don't need to go back to Nassau.
Yeah.
So, and I know I say that, just saying stuff like that out loud, just really, I'm like, I sound so privileged and rich. Like,
I'm one of
the
those
Bahamas.
people. I go
I
on
hate.
Disney cruises like every 3 days.
um,
That's like how one of my aunts, she has like 4 kids, and they literally would go on a cruise at least once a year. And growing up, I was always like, this is insane. You guys have so much money, like, to do that with 4 freaking kids. It was always just wild to me. And like, I don't know. I've
I
never,
will.
like I said, I've never been on a cruise, so I'm like, maybe they're not that expensive. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Oh no, they're like Disney cruises are dumb expensive. Um,
I don't think maybe they
but
did like one Disney cruise, but it was all like other shit.
the thing, all the Disney cruises I've been on, was because I guess kind of like Kelly Kelly always paid for the trips and the fun stuff. Like I took care of all the house and the bills and everything else, and Kelly took care of all the vacation stuff, all the fun stuff. And there was one time where I was like, uh, she was like, "Oh, we can do this." I'm like, "I don't know about the money." She's like, "No, when are we going to get a chance to do it again?" Well, it turns out like once a year,
Right?
but or multiple times a year. But we, I was very adamant, like, book it. Don't tell me how much it costs, because then I will not enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I know
Oh,
we went on. I know we went on one cruise that was like right around. It was we went on it right after we were able to do it after COVID, because we were supposed to do it like Christmas of 2020, and then it got pushed back 2 years or something. And I know that was dumb expensive. But we came across some money from somewhere, and it was given to us with the explicit implication of don't spend it on bills. And we
oh,
said, okay. So we went on a Christmas time Disney cruise, and it was magical. It was great. Christmas on the
oh,
boat and on a Disney cruise was great. But I kind of got a sense of how much it was going to cost, and I said, I don't care. Don't want to know anything else about it. I just too much as far as I'm concerned. Like, it's better if I feign ignorance on this.
yeah.
So
Fair enough. Can't blame you.
yeah.
All right.
So,
Uh,
have you heard? Have you heard that the record companies are suing my favorite AI generated website?
I have not. I am not surprised too much by that though. So what you got going on with that?
So the the it's like 4 or 5 major record labels are suing Suno and another AI music generated, saying that they used copyrighted music to generate the algorithm for making AI music. So basically, they're saying that like they gave the machine Otis Redding, and now the machine can make an Otis Redding parody. Does that
Ah,
make sense?
yeah.
So they are suing for $150,000 per instance.
Ooh.
And I was like, dude, that's too big a number. These are people that own literally thousands and thousands of music rights. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh my gosh.
so they're trying to sue for this ludicrous amount of number, and I think this might be one of those things where they're just trying to get this company wrapped up in a lawsuit so it stops. But I don't know how in the world they're going to be able to prove that. Like, if Weird Al can make a parody of a song, you know, and these are like what I always refer to as a legally different song. You know, yes, it sounds like Otis Redding, but we know it's not an Otis Redding song.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to see how this pans out. Um, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
That's interesting. Okay. Ooh, we love fun tea.
yeah. So, and I just wanted to bring that up because I have
I
we
know
have a
you
very
love that.
love hate relationship with the AI generated stuff here on the show.
Sure, Chris will be intrigued by that because, you know, you know.
Yep.
We kind of had like our own little like thing like that. Just like recently, like a little scandal thing. So there's this coffee company that there's like, I think there's like two or three of them here in Knoxville, and it's called Honeybee Coffee, and they do like coffee, and then they also have like a little brewery thing, so they make their own beers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's like some controversy going around with that this past week or two. Uh, Last weekend, Chris and I were out doing something. We were just going to swing by and grab a coffee on a day that we know at a time they would normally be open. And we were like, what the heck? Why are they closed? This is so weird. Because it said, like, you go on Google to be like, oh, are they still open at this time? And it was like, yeah, it's still supposed to be open. And so we were like, this is weird. We'll come to find out that there was like this whole huge like scandal. And for like a while, maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks, I was getting like random messages from the company that, like, normally it's like, oh, you earned a point or whatever because you bought a coffee. Like, if I buy something or Chris buys something, so then you eventually get enough points, and it's like, okay, here's a free coffee. Well, I was getting messages, and I was like, this is weird. Why are they sending promotional stuff all of like nowhere? And so my aunt sent in like our big group chat for work, and she was like, the owner brought in a new partner, and he's posting instantly on their social media, like insane, just like posts. And there's tons of grammatical errors all throughout, and they were like super um, about how they were unclean but are going to do better. They sold $200 gift cards for $100, then shut down, leading to speculation of taking the money and running, saying they're closing for a few weeks for quote unquote remodeling, but staff have leaked that so many quit that they had to close.
Oh,
And then the new
jeez.
owner's LinkedIn page reads like your crazy uncle who sells Amway. It's word for word what she said. And we were all like, oh my God. It was wild. And yeah, so now we're like, are they going to open back up? Because it was another one of like the bigger coffee places here that a lot of people go to. Because it's like a cool little vibe and stuff that most people our age really like, whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's been our fun little
Wow.
scandal. The more you
Jeez,
know,
man.
guys.
Hey man, I got these gift cards. $200. I give it to you for $100. There you go.
That's like that the Sam's and Costco way where they're like, oh, if you buy this, you get whatever, or it's cheaper to buy all these. And it's like, $100 worth, but you only pay like $80 or something like that.
Yeah.
But IRL, no, I wouldn't trust that. I wouldn't trust that at all.
Well,
Anyways, do you have
all
anything
right.
else that you?
No,
All right,
I'm ready to talk about this movie. Well,
let's dive on in.
all right. It has taken 6 months. 6 months since this movie hit theaters, way back in December. Um, and it was only for a limited time, and no place around here, at least in Central Georgia, showed it. I don't know about up in Knoxville.
Oh, we definitely did because Regal was like, "What's up?"
Yeah, anime in Central Georgia is like maybe, you know.
Sounds right.
I remember one time there was a Dragon Ball movie that was not showing, but it was showing in everywhere else around us except
No.
for Macon and Warner Robins. And I was like, why? Why? And then the next year, another Dragon Ball movie came out, and they were like, fine, we'll add one afternoon showing, and sold out. Like, I was sitting front row watching, I think it was was it the Broly movie, I think? I think so. And I was sitting front row because that was the only seats available. And a buddy of mine was not on time, and he was like, I can't get tickets. They sold out. And I believe it
Aw,
because it was hype. So I'm like, who? Come on, man.
that
But
sucks.
anyway, we've been waiting a long time for this movie. The Boy and the Heron, supposedly billed as Hayao Miyazaki's final film, and then it came out, and he was like, "Psych, just playing. I'm gonna work on another one."
God, I love him.
So, so this was both of our first time watching it, and I have not been able to ask this question in a very long time. So I will ask you, Raven,
What?
what did you think of The Boy and the Heron?
Oh my goodness. My man really said that he was going into retirement and came back with, of course, the most beautiful sceneries, just the creme de la creme of the classic Ghibli studio movies. Um, listening to uh, what's his name, Robert Pattinson, do this
Yes.
crazy Heron voice that everyone was like, "What? What is this?" Amazing. I love it. It's an interesting storyline, as a very classic, you know, very much. It's a very Ghibli movie, and it makes you happy. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel all the emotions, and I can't wait to watch it again and again, probably because I really love just the style and the beauty, and there's just so much going on. How about you, Mark? What did you think about the movie?
I am torn on Miyazaki movies.
No.
I love them. Uh, but also at the same time, there's a very particular thing that happens with these anime movies. Like, and I think it's the ones that come out of the Studio Ghibli camp. Because I've noticed it with Miyazaki movies. I've noticed it with this other great anime movie I saw earlier this year called Sasuke. Oh, no, excuse me. Suzume, I think is how you say it. I was thinking of something else. Suzume, where this thing happens and the way it wraps up is like, cool, we did it, credits. And
Yeah.
Miyazaki movies are that way, where it is like, um, uh, it's like we're how is Chihiro? I think it's Chihiro in Spirited Away. How's the little girl gonna find her parents? Cool, she found her parents. Now she's back in the real world. Credits. And this does
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
thing, where it's like we're rushing to get this point, rushing to get this point. We get to this point, bam, out the door, credits. I'm like, whoa, time out, time out. It's like we don't decompress from this thing that just happened. But I will say this, and that is, Very much like Across the Spider-Verse, every single frame in this movie is a work of art. This is, next to Spider-Verse, to me, one of the most absolute beautiful. He understood the assignment pieces of work where everything is just breathtaking. I don't know how else to describe it from that. The American voice actors are great. I enjoyed it. And surprisingly, I feel like it took a long time to get into the whole Miyazaki of the whole thing.
Oh,
Because
really?
as to go ahead and like get in on it, the movie starts off and I was like, oh boy, are we in for like some really hard hitting drama at first. Like the opening scene when I have to look up these people's names because I will absolutely mess them up and I will try not to. So just forgive me from the get go. When Mahito was running through Tokyo towards the hospital, the burning hospital, and it was very, oh man, as an old school anime lover, I watched the background characters. This is such a good
It
animation
was
trick.
so beautiful.
Where the background, the characters were like these kind of blurred. I
They
don't want to
looked
say
smoky almost.
yes, but Mahito stood out so much, and he was running, and the flames were bouncing off his face, and all of this, and I was like, "Oh, are we in for what's that movie, The Grave of the Fireflies or whatever? That really super dark anime
Yeah.
movie." And I was like, "Oh boy, are we in for some shit?" And then we cut to something else, and it progresses on. But it took 30 whole minutes before we get to the weirdness, and that was the scene where the Heron started talking and the face kind of started halfway coming out of the beak, and then the fish came out and we're like, come with us, and then the frog started climbing all over him, and I'm like, this is that weird shit I signed up for. It's this right here. And then from there we're like, let's go.
Okay, fair. But you definitely like see before you even get to that part. I don't know. Maybe I was just like really watching this heron, but I was like, "Yo, this heron's over here trying to make the moves on young Mojito." Because he kept like swinging by, and then he would like give him this little look, and I was like, "All right, all right. I don't know what's going on with this bird over here trying to be like, yo, come here, kitty." But I feel you. But you also get in that like first scene where they get to like the main like big house where all the grannies live, and they're literally like over there sniffing and like trying to rifle through that suitcase
Yeah,
just for
that's
it to have
right.
like canned food and stuff. That's very like I loved it. I was just like, all right, sure, why not? We just have these old women that are just like, oh, 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 no, we weren't going through it. We were just, we just wanted to see whose it was. And of course, they like arrive. Like the start of it is just this arrival to this beautiful big house, as very classic of like Miyazaki style is that they always just have these like lovely, charming on the outside houses. And I was just like, man, I need to live wherever this man is just like writing these little realms because these always look so beautiful. You know, I want to live in a house that this man designs.
So
ASAP.
here is, I saw this place and I immediately thought of a place in Kyoto, I think it was Kyoto, Japan, that I went to that was designed very similar to this place, or at least certain spots of it.
Yeah.
And I saw and was like, "Holy crap! Is this like I can't remember the name of the temple, and it's gonna bug me, but I think now it is like its own space in central Kyoto where there is a lake, and the way that the house was set up, where each bedroom kind of opened up into the one next to it, you know. So
Yeah.
I saw that and was like, "Holy crap, that's a real place!" And then like when it went to like the more house aspect of it, I was like, "Okay, this is clearly not the place." But it was still. I was like, I know where. I'm pretty sure I know where the inspiration came from on that, and that was a cool thing. That was a very cool thing for me.
Yeah. It was interesting to look at like the actual house that they ended up like living in, because everything like seems so simple, and then you literally get to like the new mom's little area where she's like, I am very ill. Please send for the boy. I wish to see him. And you go in there and it's so like over the top ornate and stuff. I was just like, what? You like it's like so dark and there's like big bowls, furniture and stuff. And then literally as soon as he gets out, you can still see into it. And it's like the drastic of like how it looks was just so interesting. From like, okay, now we're in the hallway, but you can still see into her like crazy elaborate bedroom.
Yeah, and that's something that these Ghibli movies really nailed down, is an aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
and
Absolutely.
and it may be more than one. It's like when they sit down and design a particular location, like, cool, this is what we're going for. Um, the the when we go to Grand Uncle's garden towards the end of the movie, and it's just all of these just beautiful fruits and outdoor garden area. I'm like, this is incredible. Someone drew this.
Right?
Actually, I have it in one of my notes that the I specifically commented on this animation because to me it was this little thing that was the most impressive thing that they did. First off, all of it is top tier. Every piece of hair is always flowing, and I think that is
Mm.
probably drives animators berserk.
Yeah.
But there is a part right before Mahito goes into the uh, birthing chamber, into his new mom's room that we were just talking about, when she's on the other side, and all of that little lightning and stuff is just crackling around him,
Mm.
just little wisp of it. I'm like, man, you know what? The fact that someone had to draw that, because that's, you can clearly tell that that's not CG. If it is the absolute best CG, like to 2D type of animation I've ever seen. But the fact that someone had to draw that and make it just look so beautiful, because that's definitely not the first or the last time that they did it in this movie. It was great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Even like some of the fire scenes where it's like, that part where he's like sitting at the top of the stairs and he starts to like pass out and then the fire like breaks in
Yeah.
and just like comes at him. Like so much of that was so beautiful. And I cannot imagine having to like draw something like that in the way that it like was just so beautiful. I don't know.
Yeah.
People that do artwork, y'all are amazing. Could never be me.
That is for sure one of the for real things that I am jealous about other people for, is my artist friends, to be able to watch them draw something from nothing.
Yeah.
When I go to these conventions and I get people to draw stuff and they're like, oh, well, what do you want? And I'm like, you know what, dude, just whatever you want. And I come back later and they have drawn this beautiful piece of art, or at least I consider it beautiful, this beautiful piece of artwork. I'm like, man, like, this is just fantastic, dude. Like, you are doing your dang old thing.
You like look at it and you're like, I don't even know how you just imagine something like this and how you just go, here you go. It's on a piece of paper now.
Yep. And and animation is on a whole different level,
Oh my
you know.
gosh. Yeah.
So
Um, there's that part where Mahito ends up going to like that little tower part because he watches the heron like squeeze into it. And so he starts going up into it, and it's like just so interesting. And then the
the,
woman's like, "Oh, I hope he doesn't get taken." And then he like walks out and he's like, "Where'd my feathers go?" And it's just such an interesting way to like watch things. And then Mahito sitting at the table with like his new mom, and he goes, "Thank you for the tea," and then gets up and leaves. And then Chris is like, does he mean like the gossip or the actual tea? Because she had just told him like the whole story of like, this place is a little weird and my family did some weird stuff sometimes. Okay.
so I don't know if this was if something's lost in translation or what, but I was really kind of confused on the the father apparently decided he was going to marry his wife's sister, his sister-in-law.
Oh,
Is I that was weird to me because
I think that
I was
might be
trying to
like a common thing for like cultural reasons of like, you know, it's like she ain't got nobody. Why don't I just go ahead and step on over there? I don't know. Especially if she's supposed to be like, I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but for the age which you would probably assume her to be, for her to not be married, to not have kids, something like that, it's probably more of like, oh, I should do this out of respect of my former wife. Maybe something like that. But it's definitely, over here in Western culture, we're like, what the hell? You clearly killed your wife so you could get with her sister.
so I decided to look it up. It's actually called a sororit marriage.
Okay.
It is actually a thing. Um, it is not specifically Asian or Japanese. It looks like it's taking place in all various different parts of the world, but it's meant to be like a hey, my wife has died, but I still want to like strengthen the family. Um,
Hmm. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So you learned something new here on the Nerd for No Reason podcast. Sororit marriage. So yeah,
Eh,
that was kind of that kind of threw me for a loop because they don't explicitly say it at the beginning. She just like, "Hey, I'm going to be your new mom," and I was like, "Okay, that's the typical stepmother talk." And then later on, I think it was one of the old ladies was like, "Oh, you need to go get your aunt or something like that." I'm like, "Wait a second, time out."
Yeah, when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm not too surprised by that, but like, yeah. But the fact that she was just like, "Hi, I'm gonna be your new mom," and she's like, "Give me your hand," and like is like, "Look, this is gonna be your younger sibling." I was like, "Nope, hate that so much," because I'm pretty sure like this is absolutely like the first time that he's like meeting her, so that's like unsettling.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in because he looks like he's what, maybe 13, 14,
Maybe at the
maybe.
most, maybe even like 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot for a young man to take in. He's just like, yeah, I just lost my mom. You're going to be my new mom. Apparently, you've been hooking up with my dad, and now there's a baby on the way, and I just can't really take this. So,
Right? And he's being haunted by like his dead mom and a fiery blaze.
mm-hmm.
Just kid stuff. That's why he goes to school. Somehow ends up getting beaten up on his first day. I was really like, because they were like, we've talked to your teacher about your situation. And I'm like, what's your situation, little man? Because you got beat up and then said, you know what? I'm really not coming back to school, and took that rock
Right.
and was just like, I'm staying home for the rest of life. Goodbye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot kind of to unpack about this, and this again, this is part of we talk about this. I think when we talk about anime movies, where there's clearly a loss, there's something lost in translation here, and it's hard to critique something like that, partially because it's just so freaking beautiful,
True.
and it does kind of come back around where he mentions, he's like, yes, I gave myself this scar and blah 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 later on, and he explains his reasoning behind doing that, and you're like, okay, I guess that wraps up that thing. But at the same time, I don't know, it's just structured differently than American films, and that's just something that us as dumb Americans have to get over. So
Hey, I'm fine with it.
yeah.
I just
uh
accept.
I want to take a moment here and talk about these wild ass parakeets.
They were cool.
They were cool, but also I want a complete horror movie on these wild ass parakeets.
Ugh.
I want to see. I feel like there's a horror movie with them just capturing humans and eating them. With Dave Bautista, who surprisingly stole the show for me, was absolutely perfect as the Parakeet King, and I just want I want this movie more than just about anything. Give me like a 30-minute short of just these wild ass parakeets doing wild shit.
Ooh, that could be good. Yeah.
I
Because
don't
like,
want to.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't want a full movie.
Yeah.
I don't need that much. Just like 20, 30 minutes at the most. Just wild shit.
Like, how'd y'all get to this situation that you guys are in? Because he was like, yo, did you eat my stepmom? And they were like, no, she has a baby, but you don't have a baby. And he was just like, yeah, okay, makes sense.
Um,
With the
Uh,
knives in their hands.
oh, it was great.
I was like, I was not expecting the knives, but I was expecting them to be like, yo, we're gonna beat this kid up. And then they just turned behind their backs, and I was like, oh, okay. Birds in this movie are crazy. But I
They
love the
they
part where they like fly out of the other side of the door, and his dad literally goes, my son just turned into parakeets. He just accepted it 100%.
I was also getting a lot of Howl's Moving Castle vibes when we met up with Himi, the mom,
Yes.
the fire
Yes.
lady, and I was I was like, oh boy, we are back in Howl's Moving Castle. You know, open up the door. We're in this other magical world that we just walked through the fire, and now we're here. And we open up other doors, and now we're other places. And yeah, it was I get, I've sensed a lot of inspirations from previous Miyazaki films.
I
Like
think that's just kind of like what he does, though, is like, it's almost like a realm that could be all within its own. So it can just like have that same very similar vibe and stuff. Because there is definitely like certain parts where I'd be like, oh, this kind of reminds me of like Totoro, or this, or like the fish being like kind of creepy and doing their little like join us part. I was like, I feel like you could have seen something like that in Ponyo, you know?
yeah,
And that's what I like really love about this whole world that he creates. It's just like they all belong together. All of these movies. I don't know
yeah,
how, but they do.
and I think that probably Miyazaki went into this going, this is going to be my last movie. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure probably about 3/4 of the way through it, he was like, no, I'm enjoying this too much. I still got some years left in me. But I think he specifically put all of these references in there as like, here is the grand summation of everything that I've done. You know, you can see a little bit of this and a little bit of this. And, you know, that you can't tell me that Himi was not a striking resemblance to Kiki's Delivery Service.
Mm, yeah.
You know, I felt like there was all these things that he genuinely was like, this is no pun intended, my swan song, and he was, I like it too much. No, forget this.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely see it.
So,
I see what you're going with. Yeah.
so I do want to ask you this question, Raven. How does this legitimately stack up against other Miyazaki movies?
I definitely think that it's like as beautiful, as imaginative and stuff as like the other things. I definitely want to watch it, like, give it a few more watches because why not? And then I can just appreciate it even more because I'll definitely watch one of the movies for like the first time and be like, okay, this is my new like obsession. And I can definitely see where I could also fall into that in just a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to chew on it for a little bit and be like, okay, okay, this is also good. This is also peak Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Especially if I do see the realm of like where he's folding in like so many of his other things, then it takes like it feels more like heartfelt and beautiful in that way, you know?
Yeah.
And this kid was out here just the kids in his movies always are just like, okay, we just do whatever. We just go with it. And
Yeah.
I'm always enamored by it. Like the fact that this kid was literally like, oh, this person just saved me from a bunch of crazy pelicans that pushed me into some graveyard, apparently. And now I'm just going to go get on this boat with them. All right, let's go. You don't know who this person is. But then they just have like this amazing little adventure. And I was just like, okay, cool. And then he just like sleeps under the table. Chris and I were kind of cracking up about that because he's just like sleeping under the table, and
Yeah.
then there's an actual like spot for a bed, and so it's like, why does he have to sleep under the table? But whatever. But I love the little oh shoot, I forgot to write down what they're called. The little white floaty blob boys.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, what are they
didn't it start with
called?
an M? Frick.
Man, and I didn't take. I wasn't taking any notes
I
either because I
know.
was so
At
wrapped
the
up in this
very
movie.
end, I was like, I'm just absorbed now. But I love them. Like, they were so cute. And it's just like, oh, they're going up to be born now. And I was like, that's fun. I like that. And then the other ones are like waving them off to be like, goodbye. Have fun being born.
The Wara Wara.
That's what it was. War war. It's just another fun little. It's like the sprite suits or um what other little things am I thinking of? The little oh, shoot, what are those? I don't know, but Miyazaki always has like some cute little pals
Yep.
that always like do some stuff that you're like, okay, these are also my new obsession.
These are absolutely going to get sold at anime conventions now.
Ugh, I want them. They were so cute. Until they got eaten. And then I was like, no!
Yeah, the pelican showed up out of nowhere. I was like, yes, dinner.
Ugh. And then homeboy just walks out and he's like, yo, one of those pelicans is fucked up. I'm gonna go beat it up. The pelican's just like, do it. I didn't ask to be here.
Okay, that pelican was voiced by Willem Dafoe.
That's
Okay,
yeah.
and I was so Miyazaki movies do this, and it's so wild to me that that was essentially a cameo by Willem Dafoe. Okay, and I'm okay with that. I'm glad that they got him, but like to have Willem Dafoe in a booth for a day for a cameo for a Miyazaki film just seems like that could have been any actor. That could have been any voice actor in Hollywood and been like, here's some money, but no, we got freaking Willem Dafoe to come in here and record lines for a Miyazaki film.
Dude, he literally always gets like these big name people, and it's just like, I don't know, Christian Bale. Dude is in like every movie.
Yeah.
Swear to God.
He's been in just about all of them. Christian freaking Bale.
Mark Hamill was in this one.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh. I don't know how to. I never know how to say her last name, but like, she was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So many good people.
Crazy.
And they're always just like, "Yeah, I'll do it." I can't blame them. These movies are going to be like, in their own way, they're going to be big and popular, as opposed to like, the Marvel movies where you expect people that are big name and stuff. That'll also be big, but
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for Boy and the Heron. I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm like you. I think I'm going to come back and watch it eventually.
Hey, we love to hear that. If you guys haven't watched it, please absolutely go watch it. Especially if you love the Miyazaki stuff. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, we've waited so long to finally get it on digital. So please do yourself a favor and go see it.
100%.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to our next segment, favorite part of the week, where we talk about the little things that made us happy the previous week so we can be thankful for those things. So not everything is just doom and gloom and bear, because we are entering the time of the year, as we do every 2-4 years, where it's like, guess what? Politics. And it's started to seep into every aspect of my life now, and I hate it. Had to mute my group work chat because I work with a bunch of people who are just, I just didn't want to hear it. Did not want to hear it. So it's a whole dingo dango thing. But I want to focus on the positives in my life. Raven, why don't you tell me what has made you happy this week?
My big old nap for the day has definitely made me feel really nice. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Chris went to Costco and got like the big croissants that they have there because while we were at Trader Joe's the other day, I found like this lemon curd spread and I was like, ooh, that sounds really good. And so he was like, all right, we're buying it. We'll put it on some croissants because I know you'll be happy with that. And so during my big old nap, he like comes down and he's like, hey, do you want to go watch Inside Out too? And I was like, bro, I gotta go back to sleep. And he was just like, what are you even saying right now? And so he was just like, okay, I'm going to be back in a bit. And then he comes back with the croissants. And like, we spread the nice little stuff on it. I ate those, was awake for like maybe an hour and a half later, and then just took a big old nap. And he was like, when he was like fixing everything, he was telling me about this one podcast that he listens to. And he's like, so one of the girls was saying on there that, normally she'll have her alarm clock and do whatever Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, she absolutely just like has no alarm clock and will just sleep for like, because normally she'll sleep about like 9 hours a day for the weekdays. And then on the weekend, she's like 14 to 16 hours. Sounds great. And I was like, yeah, that's my Sundays. It's the best part of the week. I don't know, man. But we've just had a really nice, relaxing weekend. My aunt and uncle, they went to Vegas so they could go see Lady Gaga. And I'm very upset by that. But they were like, you could use our pool. And so we totally hung out in their pool. And it was just nice to be able to, like, have a good little relaxing day. And I got Kavik all clean. And It's just been a nice little productive weekend of things and then napping. So that's what's made me happy. How about you, man? What's made you happy?
The other day, I put the I send Amy to bed and do our good nights and stuff, and then I go in the computer room, and then I go in my bedroom and kind of wind down, get ready for bed, and I sit there and just start scrolling through TikTok as I'm one to do and lose track of time. And I kind of heard the kids grumbling around, and I didn't really think anything about it. I was like waiting for that moment where they start yelling at each other, or I hear dad, and I got to get up and do dad things. But uh, after however long it was, I guess it was 45 minutes, I, I'm like, cool, bedtime for myself. Let me go shut off all the lights and everything, just close down the house. And I go to Amy's room. I open the door and check on her, make sure everything's all right. She's asleep, and I noticed that she's done put a blanket in the middle of her floor. I'm like, okay, she's done put that there for Sasha, whatever. Don't really think anything about it. The next day, I wake up, start getting ready for work, wake Amy up, start getting her ready for the thing she's got to go do today. And she goes, hey, did you see my room? And I said, no, but I saw that you put a blanket on your floor. I was like, that was weird. Why'd you do that? She's like, well, I didn't like the rug that was there. The rug needs to get clean. Plus, I cleaned up my room. Like, what do you mean you cleaned up your room? I was like, did you do this when you were supposed to be asleep? She got a big grin on her face. I said, let's go check it out. And she did. She straight up cleaned her room. She cleaned off the dresser, cleaned off the little bookshelf she has. She cleaned up some other stuff. And I was like, this is incredible. And she put everything. I'm like, this is great. So I was super proud of her. And then later on, I'm back home, I'm working, whatever. She's gone off doing her thing. And Alice wakes up. She's like, hey, did you see that Amy cleaned the bathroom too? And I was like, I thought both of y'all
Oh,
did that. No, she went in there, straightened up the bathroom, cleaned off the countertops and stuff. Alice apparently went in there and told her to be quiet because she was being too loud. Um, yeah, I was like, oh, hot dog. This is incredible. I'm so extremely happy and glad you did this. So, yeah, that is for sure what's made me happy this week. Just a kid doing chores that I didn't have to fight with him on.
you're like, yeah, screw bedtime. I, you can clean stuff, whatever.
Right.
Just
Like
don't be
I ain't gonna
groggy
say
at me in the
nothing.
morning.
Right. And she didn't. She got it. Man, she's been so good this week about getting up and getting dressed and everything. Oh, it's been wonderful.
Nice.
So
Way to go, kiddo.
yeah, man, she's doing the dango thing.
Love to hear that for you, man. I definitely didn't do that stuff when I was a kid. I was like, what? I have to clean my room? I'm going to throw everything either under the bed or in the closet.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
anyways,
all right. Well, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the old internets?
on ye old internets, we have the old Twitter at spooky_raven or on Instagram at that's a Raven Ellis. You can also find this adorable little podcast on whatever you want to at Nerd for No Reason. Mark?
You can find me everywhere at Turtles Do It. Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Excuse me, X.
Shut up. It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. I'm never gonna not stop calling it Twitter. But yeah, come hit us up. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because we love you guys.
Whoop,
Thank
whoop.
you so much for listening to the show. This is always my favorite part of the week. I just cannot tell you how much fun it is to sit here, Raven, and talk to you about movies. Half the fun is for sure the panic mode that sets in around Tuesday when I'm like, we got to pick a movie. Even though neither one of us are going to watch it before the weekend, usually
Oh,
around Tuesday
absolutely.
I start getting itchy. I'm like, I got to figure something out. Uh, so, so yeah, it's and I come across movies. I don't know about you, but I come across movies and go, nope, that's an October movie. I see a horror movie, I'm like, no, I got to save that one for October.
Dude, yeah, no, I do the same thing.
Especially because movies like Maxine are Maxine is getting ready to come out.
Oh, yeah.
and things like that. So yeah, I see movies. I'm like, no, not ready for that yet. We'll get there, just not right now. So, oh man. Anyway, thanks for listening. You guys go do something wonderful in the world today.
You guys go enjoy all the latest new medias, and we'll see you again next week on the Nerd for No Reason podcast. Goodbye.
Whoop whoop. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Nerd for No Reason podcast. You can find us on all major social media platforms at Nerd for No Reason. Our podcast music is Memories in 8-Bit by Deanna Joan, aka Fergie's Human. You can follow her on Twitter at Deanna Joan Music and check out her other social media links in the show notes of our podcast.